Happiness does not come when you're striving for it, and that is the greatest secret, though it is not very easily said. I can put it in a few simple words, but by merely listening to me and repeating what you have heard, you are not going to be happy. Happiness is strange. It comes when you are not seeking it. When you are not making an effort to be happy, then unexpectedly, mysteriously, happiness is there, born of purity, of a loveliness of being. But that requires a great deal of understanding, not joining an organisation or trying to become somebody. Truth is not something to be achieved. Truth comes into being when your mind and heart are purged of all sense of striving, and you are no longer trying to become somebody. It is there when the mind is very quiet, listening timelessly to everything that is happening. You may listen to these words, but for happiness to be, you have to find out how to free the mind of all fear. As long as you are afraid of anyone or anything, there can be no happiness. There can be no happiness as long as you are afraid of your parents, your teachers, afraid of not passing examinations, afraid of making progress, of not getting nearer to the master, nearer to truth, or of not being approved of, patted on the back. But if you're really not afraid of anything, then you will find, when you wake up of a morning, or when you are walking alone, that suddenly a strange thing happens. Uninvited, unsolicited, unlooked for, that which may be called love, truth, happiness is suddenly there. That's Krishnamurti, think on these things. I'm thinking of doing like some mini shit where I just kind of say a quote that has meant something to me or has made me think, and just like do a little mini video on it. I don't know, because sometimes I'll read something, it will trigger a thought, and then I'll ramble on for like 16 to 20 minutes about it, and then I'll go off and this tangent, that tangent, like I am doing now. But I thought if I do this, maybe it's a bit more concise, a bit more digestible. So I'll talk about this. It sounds really esoteric and really vague and abstract, but my interpretation of that quote is quite simply that when we're not striving for something and we're doing that which we love, we find happiness, or happiness finds us. Earlier in the book, he talks about ambition and how ambition is bad, and this book, Krishnamurti's Think on These Things, is laid out in a style which is question-answer. So an audience member, maybe conjured up or real, or paraphrased, gives a question and he gives a response, and then he responds with a question or whatever, back and forth. Earlier he was talking about how ambition is always bad, how when we're striving to be something, we're competing, we're manipulating, taking advantage of others, we're constantly striving for something in the future, never in the present. You can interpret that as like, you can say, what, so we're not meant to do anything? But his response to that, his rebuttal, is that when we're doing that which we love, then we're not being ambitious. And he emphasises the importance of finding that which you love as early as possible, and he thinks that's one of the responsibilities, one of the aims, one of the purposes of education, to find that which you love and then pursue it with great fervour. So what this made me think about was, like, for example, coding and programming. And it's made me realise I've been, maybe not a hypocrite, but definitely blind recently. But yeah, with coding, for example, I feel like, oh, I want to, I've got to do this boring course, this part of this course, because then I will be able to, then I will be freelancing, and then I'll be earning money, and then I'll be happy, then I'll be financially free, which I somehow equate with a degree of increased happiness. Not happiness per se, but a degree of increased happiness. And the sort of hypocrisy or ignorance I've had recently is that I think that at the moment, like, I'm bored, like, of this monotony. I have a good job, it pays well, I can come back in the evening and talk shit with Nico, which is good. I don't have to bother with people that I find disagreeable. I enjoy my job. It's good, but I'm thinking, like, oh, I'm bored. I want to go home, even though COVID's kind of proliferating there, and it's going to get cold and depressing, and living with parents might not be that conducive to my path. but I'm like, oh, I still want to go home sooner rather than later because it's a different environment. I can focus on my freelancing road. But I'm just again putting off happiness, and when I get back, I'll be like, oh no, but when I go to Norway, then I'll be happy. But then I know that's only temporary. So when am I postponing happiness until? And why am I trying to seek happiness rather than just try to seek nothing and just do what I enjoy doing? Um, that's kind of the thought. I think that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave that there because these are only supposed to be relatively short. But yeah, I don't know. It might encourage me to get out more videos, more daily. If I just read a quote or two and I don't know, expound it or relate it to myself in some way. Um, that's about it. It's hot. Okay, I'll give a little quick update. It's fucking hot. It's like 30 degrees or something. It feels hotter, maybe because of the humidity. I'm assuming it's humid. It's hot. Today was good. Nico bought me a book that arrived last night, Burning Down the House, Haus, which is a history of punk metal. And at first I was thinking like, oh, wow, that's really nice. But I was thinking like, he knows I don't listen to any punk, right? Maybe he, and I was a bit like almost disheartened a little bit because I thought he knew what kind of music I like, and I thought we had a really good amount of like knowledge for one another. And he knows I'm big into music and metal. So why did you get me this? And he says, oh right, yeah, I just thought, he said, I know you don't really listen to much punk, so I thought I could, you might want to read this and you might find punk interesting and you might expand your musical lexicon. And I thought, that's fucking really thoughtful. Hell yeah. Yeah, he's a fucking good kid, he is. Really good kid. And I'm maybe getting a bit less insecure about myself. I don't know why or how. I think partially it's because I feel like I'm slowing down a little bit. Maybe from reading this and I don't know whatever, but I seem to not be so worried and anxious about the future. I'm not really putting like a time limit or a time constraint on this freelance thing. When it happens, it happens. And I'm obviously not always like that at all. By no means am I always like that. That would be an ideal to be like, oh well, I'm working toward it, but I'm 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 happy doing it. When I get there, I get there. That's the ideal. But at the moment, I still have anxiety and feel like I'm not progressing fast enough and whatever. Um, and this is the thing. I don't want to get into it now because this is perhaps for another video. But the idea of questioning things and reading and yeah, just not trying to constantly improve, but I had a thought then and it's gone. So yeah, I'll stop that here. But yeah, goodbye.